What is the most plum job in Nepal? It has to be that of lawmakers, government ministers. I'll tell you why. The budget session of the Federal Parliament of Nepal ended just on uh, Thursday, that is November 2, 2023. It was in session. It had that duration of 180 days, nearly 7 months. In fact, it commenced on May 7, 2023, and it ended on November 2, 2023 midnight. It was in session, it had this duration of 180 days, and during that period, it have it conducted 65 meetings over 61 days, six joint meetings of the lower house and the upper house. The lower house in Nepal is called the House of Representatives, and the upper house is called the National Assembly. The picture on the background is of the Federal Parliament of Nepal. As per Rule 56(5) of the House of Representatives 2022, it conducted three question and answer sessions with the Prime Minister of Nepal. Those sessions occurred on May 18th, June 23, and August 29. Nine bills were registered in the parliament, including one private bill. Three bills got passed through both the House of Representatives as well as the National Assembly. They include the much controversial Citizenship Amendment Bill, a bill that had passed, a bill whose sell-by date had expired. Nonetheless, uh, the so-called illustrious president of Nepal put his seal of approval on that bill, making a mockery of the constitution of Nepal, making a mockery of the rule of law, and making the mockery of the very position that he held, the highest position based on protocol of the government of Nepal. Thus, he made a mockery of the entire political system, the federal, secular, democratic, republican system of this country, of this new republic, and a very ancient country. At the same time, there are three bills under consideration in the committees, in the parliamentary committees. Another bill, by the way, that got passed was this bill on loan sharking, but critics reason that it is at best a half-baked bill. The parliament did not work enough to plug those holes, plug the loopholes in the bill. That is what the critics of that bill point out. The main opposition, CPN-UML, that is the Communist Party of Nepal, Unified Marxist Leninist, staged walkouts, created frequent obstructions, and encircled the well uh, on occasions over several issues. It just obstructed the session, demanding the formation of a high-level committee to investigate a gold smuggling case, a mysterious near smuggling of about 60 kg of gold through a high security Tribhuvan International Airport. The flight had originated in Hong Kong. To the best of my knowledge, uh, it was a Cathay Pacific flight, and 60 kg of gold. That consignment was concealed in several brake shoes in liquid form. It had passed through the security screening, the gates of the uh, much known Tribhuvan International Airport, but a team confiscated that illegal consignment from Sinamangal, that is a stone's throw from the TIA, that is the Tribhuvan International Airport. But several experts point that it is that tip of that proverbial iceberg. They point that several such consignments may have already passed through uh, the gates of TIA in collusion with customs officials, law enforcement, maybe, and the political leadership, the top political brass, because such an audacious breach cannot could not have occurred without the high offices, without the high officials knowing about it. That is what the experts argue. At the penultimate hours of the budget session, this blame game continued unabated, while the CP and UML and other parties accused the government of trying to bulldoze its way uh, on the strength of a majority in the House. The government, on its part, said that the opposition parties, of course, have the right to raise concerns, but they should give up their my way or highway attitude. That is what the government pointed out. So this calls for magnanimity on the part of the government and some uh, constructive rule from the opposition parties as well. There were small uh, opposition parties, small uh, parties within that opposition bench that accused uh, the three major political parties of the country. That is, the largest one is the Nepali Congress, then comes the CPN UML, and then the CPN Mao Center. The fringe parties, if you will, like Rashtriya Swatantra Party and Rashtriya Prajatantra Party, accused these big three of holding the house ransom for petty political interests. This is a picture from Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's recent visit to Kalapani Lipu Lake, Limpiadhura region. This territory, this 400 square kilometers of territory on the far western parts of the country, Nepal considers as her own. It has been consistently arguing that this territory has been Nepal's all along since the Treaty of Sugauli, following the Anglo-Nepal War of 1816. Uh, Per that treaty also, Nepal has been consistently saying that this region, this 400 square kilometers of territory adjoining Tibet belongs to Nepal. uh, it has been pointing that Indian troops vanquished after the 1962 war with China sought refuge in that parcel of land that belongs to Nepal. And at that time, uh, there was this panchayat government. It just uh, heeded their request. But in course of time, Nepal managed to just bid goodbye to the Indian military presence in Nepal. There were at that time, during the times of King Mahendra, Nepal achieved that feat. The BP Koirala government, the Nepali Congress government under Vishwesar Prasad Koirala had allowed India to set up 18 Indo-Tibetan border police posts along Nepal's northern region that uh, that were quite close to China, along the border with China. 18 of those 18 Indo-Tibetan border police posts, Nepal managed managed to just end that occupation, if you will, uh, managed to end that presence during uh, the times when Kirtinidhi Bishta was the prime minister, the Panchayati prime minister, and King Mahendra's rule it was. 17 border police posts Nepal managed to remove, but this particular police post, this particular presence, Indian security presence, Nepal could not remove. In course of time, these people, uh, they had a small a number of troops at that point, but in course of time they fortified their presence. They built camps and such structures, helipad and whatnot, and even a temple out there. So this occupation has been continuing. This is an Indian occupied territory that belongs to Nepal. There is no doubt about it. And in that spirit, the sovereign parliament of Nepal uh, endorsed a revised map of the country, including the territories of Kalapani, Lipulek, Limpiadura. This point is of immense strategic importance for Nepal because it is an all-weather customs point that connects Nepal with China through Tibet. It is the gateway to Mansarovar, and that is a sacred pilgrimage for lakhs of Nepali peoples. It's a sacred pilgrimage for the Hindus, Buddhists, maybe Jains, uh, or even Kirats, I think, uh, to like people from what you call this Omkar family that includes the Hindus, Buddhists, Jains, Kirats, etc. So Nepal has been consistent in her claims that this territory belongs to Nepal. But then Indian Prime Minister not so long ago visited this region, and even maybe as a gimmick or I don't know what, he also announced a number of projects amounting to crores of rupees. The very same parliament that had uh, issued a map that had endorsed a map including this occupied territory, remained tight-lipped during Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to the area that Nepal considers as her own. This is the unicorn map of Nepal that I was pointing out earlier. This pointed portion represents the Kalapani Lipulek Limpiadhura area. There was this deafening silence in the Parliament of Nepal when Narendra Modi visited the India occupied region of Nepal. The same parliament that had endorsed the map that is on the background kept mum on this audacious breach of Nepal's territorial integrity. That was a smack on the face of the federal parliament of Nepal. It has shown once again that Nepal has been the state, the government of Nepal, the state organs have not been able to defend, like to protect Nepal's bleeding borders. Wherever you go in areas bordering India, Nepal has been witnessing massive encroachment, whether it's in the Susta region uh, on the banks of Narayani, whether it's in that is in the western parts of the country, whether it's in Ilam, the Mechi Bridge, Pasupati Nagar, Fikkal, Maheshpur, Brahmadev, in Kanchanpur, and several other areas, Nepal's borders with India have been bleeding, but this government, successive governments, have not been able to stop this profused bleeding of Nepali like sovereignty. Uh, Nepal has not been able to do anything to heal these wounds. This territorial aggression has been going on side by side with demographic aggression. I'll tell you how. Uh, as I told you earlier, the president of Nepal, Ramchandra Paudel, endorsed, authenticated a very controversial citizenship amendment bill with lax citizenship provisions. This is like akin to welcoming thousands of lakhs of uh, immigrants from across the border and granting them citizenship like upon arrival. That kind of arrangements. The predecessor of President Paudel, Vidyadevi Bhandari, had refused to authenticate that bill, citing national security concerns. You know, Nepal has been this passive recipient of refugees from uh, the extended neighborhood, whether it's from displaced populations from Myanmar, whether it's from Bhutan, and apart from providing for lakhs of people from Bihar and Uttar Pradesh. In course of time, they do every bit to acquire Nepali citizenship certificates. Nepal has been grappling with this Tibetan refugee issue also. People displaced from Tibet have been sheltering in Nepal. They are, I think, more than 1 lakhs in number already. So Nepal On the one hand, Nepal has been finding it hard to provide for its own citizens. Every day, thousands of Nepalese have been leaving the country for studies, for better job prospects, and for like permanent residency elsewhere. This shows that Nepal has not been able to provide for its own population of about 3 crore. At the same time, uh, unchecked immigration into Nepal has been occurring for decades on end. That has been uh, just altering, that has been altering the demographic scenario of the country. Such is the situation that if this inflow is not controlled, if this inflow is not curbed, Nepalese themselves will be in a minority in their own country amid these concerns. Despite these concerns, the president of Nepal, Ramchandra Paudel, authenticated a very controversial citizenship amendment bill, and the parliament could not do nothing. The parliament just, it appeared was that this beast of burden, it was just a stable of the beasts of burden uh, that was doing the bidding of a crack weeping, uh, our whip wielding, our whip charging executive. While the numerous showdowns in the parliament and outside continued, the parliament, the sovereign body representing the will of the people, that is supposed to represent the will of the people, it could not pass crucial bills like the Truth and Reconciliation Bill as well as the Anti Money Laundering Bill. There were some saving grace for the parliament as well in its penultimate hours. What were they? Let's talk a bit about them. The United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres visited Nepal from October 29th till November 2. The United Nations Chief allayed Nepal's concerns like the disproportionate impact of climate change in Nepal, the Himalayan region in particular. Uh, he just also said that Nepal's transitional justice process should meet international standards at a time when the government has been trying to bulldoze its way through the parliament on the strength of a majority to pass a bill that aims to grant immunity, to grant amnesty, even in heinous crimes. He addressed the joint session of the parliament. If the government uh, wants to project this as one of its achievements, it is free to do that. Nepal has gotten some international limelight. It is too premature to see to just check whether Nepal will be able to use this goodwill to further its national interest. But by and large, the parliament failed to deliver. It failed. It has the budget session of the parliament, like earlier sessions, also failed to do justice to the aspirations of the people. This can be said safely, there shall be no confusion about its inability to deliver, to just act as per the mandate of the people. It is for no reason, it is for not without uh, some solid ground that some fringe parties, including the Rashtriya Swatantra Party and Rashtriya Prajatantra Party, have accused the three major political parties of the country of holding the parliament hostage for their petty gains. The parliamentarians of Nepal, the government officials of Nepal, and the politicians hold some of the most plum jobs. They hold some of the most attractive jobs. They don't have to deliver. They can just conduct talk shops. They can just conduct talk sessions, talking shops. They don't have to deliver anything. They don't have to be responsible to the people. They don't have to be accountable to the electorate. They can just claim, they can just sit there, attend the session every day, or boycott meetings at their will, just like in the parliament, and yet they can claim fat paychecks. They can get all those lofty pays and perks, all kinds of services, security details, and whatnot. Isn't it the most plum job? Some of the most plum jobs they have been holding for quite some time without any uh, iota of accountability. Well, I think so. It is the case. All along, the Nepali electorate, the Nepali peoples have been in deep slumber. They have not been able to hold these officials to account. It is time the Nepali peoples wake up and act and discipline these rogue elements. As I present this program, a massive earthquake has occurred in far western region of Nepal, in Jajarkot and Rukum district. In Jajarkot and Rukum districts, scores of people have died. The government has been trying to reach out to these people. We wish for eternal peace to the departed soul. Uh, we request the government and the local administration to do every bit to save lives and to just carry out swift rescue and rehabilitation efforts, operations. With this remark, I wrap up this edition of Soft Talk, but not without a request. I request you to subscribe to this channel. We have been trying for quite some time to be your voice, be your true voice through this channel that aims to promote citizen journalism. We request you to subscribe to our channel, comment on our presentation, and press that like button. It will mean a world to us. It will mean a universe to us. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.